The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the dark between stars. It was bigger than most moons and had been home to the Galactic Council for millions of years. Today, something was different. Emergency lights flashed red along the corridors, and the ancient beings who ruled the galaxy moved with unusual speed. Hyunwoo Kim walked slowly through the grand hallway that led to the council chamber. His black uniform showed he was from Earth's diplomatic service. The human ambassador was tall and calm, but his dark eyes missed nothing. Behind him walked So Young Park, a scientist who studied alien life forms. Her hands shook slightly as she carried her datapad. "I have never seen them this worried," So Young whispered to Hyunwoo. The message they sent to Earth was almost panic. Hyunwoo nodded but said nothing. In his 20 years as a diplomat, he had learned that the elder species always acted like they were in control. Today felt different. The council had demanded this meeting with only 6 hours' notice. That had never happened before. The great doors opened with a deep sound that echoed through the chamber. Inside, 12 massive seats formed a circle around a single chair in the center. Each seat held one of the elder beings who had ruled the galaxy since before humans learned to make fire. Elder Vexithara spoke first. The crystalline being's voice sounded like breaking glass. "Human Hyunwoo Kim, you stand before this council to answer for the crimes of your species." Hyunwoo sat down in the center chair and looked around the circle. He had met these beings before, but today they seemed different. Their usual confidence was gone. Elder Mortusk, a creature made of living rock, kept shifting in his seat. This'll, insect-like Elder Quindar clicked her mandibles nervously. "What crimes?" Hyunwoo asked in a steady voice. Elder Vex Thara's crystal body flashed angry red. "Do not pretend ignorance. In only 200 years since first contact, your species has spread to 47 star systems. You have broken every rule of proper expansion." "We followed the laws you gave us," Hyunwoo replied. "The letter of the law, perhaps, but not the spirit," Elder Mortusk rumbled. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "Young species are meant to grow slowly. They should ask permission before taking each step. You humans act like you own the galaxy." So Young looked at her data, pad and cleared her throat. "If I may speak, honored elders, our expansion has been peaceful. We have not attacked anyone or taken systems by force." Elder Quindar's compound eyes focused on the human scientist. "Peaceful, you say? Yet you have made alliances with species we deemed unworthy of advanced contact. You have shared your technology with primitive civilizations. You have upset the natural order that has kept peace for millions of years." Hyunwoo leaned back in his chair. "The natural order? You mean the system where you decide who gets to advance and who must stay primitive?" The chamber fell silent. Several elders shifted uncomfortably. Elder Vexithara's crystal body went from red to deep purple, a sign of extreme anger. "You dare question the wisdom of those who ruled the stars before your son was born?" Elder Vexithara's voice rose higher. "We have maintained galactic peace through careful management. Each species has its place. Order must be preserved." "Whose order?" Hyunwoo asked quietly. Elder Mortusk stood up, his massive stone body towering over the chamber. "Human arrogance? You think your brief existence gives you the right to judge systems that have worked for eons?" So Young studied her readings and spoke carefully. "The species we have helped seem grateful for our assistance. The gentle builders now have clean energy for their worlds. The swift swimmers can finally explore beyond their ocean planet. The mountain singers have learned to heal diseases that plagued them for centuries. Where is the harm in this?" "The harm," Elder Quindar clicked, "is that these species were meant to remain as they were. Some civilizations are destined to be simple. Others are meant to serve. You humans disrupt this balance by raising up those who should remain low." Hyunwoo felt a cold anger growing in his chest, but his voice remained calm. "So you believe some people are born to serve others? That some species should never be allowed to grow?" "It is not belief, it is reality," Elder Vexithara said. "For millions of years we have studied the patterns of galactic civilization. Most species cannot handle advanced knowledge responsibly. They must be guided by those with greater wisdom. And you decided you have this greater wisdom? Hyun-woo asked. The elders exchanged glances. Elder Mortusk sat back down heavily. We have proven our wisdom by maintaining peace. Before the council, the galaxy burned with constant wars between young, foolish species. We brought order. So Young looked up from her datapad. Our historical records show that most galactic conflicts in the past million years were started by elder species enforcing this order you speak of. Elder Quindar's mandibles clicked rapidly. Your records are incomplete, human. You know nothing of true galactic history. Then teach us, Hyun-woo said simply. The chamber fell silent again. The elders looked at each other with expressions that seemed almost like fear. Elder Vexthara's crystal body dimmed to a pale blue. Some knowledge is too dangerous for young species, Elder Vexthara said finally. Dangerous to whom? Hyun-woo pressed. To us, or to your system of control? Elder Mortusk's stone fist crashed down on his seat's armrest. Enough! You prove our point with every word. Humans are too aggressive, too questioning, too disruptive. You cannot be allowed to continue on this path. What path? So Young asked. The path of helping others? The path of treating all species as equals? The path of chaos, Elder Quindar said. The path that leads to the destruction of everything we have built. Hyun-woo stood up slowly. And what if we refuse to change our path? The 12 elders went completely still. For a long moment, the only sound in the chamber was the distant hum of the station's engines. Then Elder Vexthara spoke in a voice that seemed to come from the depths of space itself. Then the council will be forced to take action to preserve galactic stability. The human question must be resolved before your corruption spreads further. Hyun-woo looked around the circle of ancient beings. Each one avoided his gaze. For the first time in the meeting, he smiled. But there was no warmth in it. The human question, he repeated softly. How interesting that you call it that. Tell me, honored elders, have you resolved similar questions before? Elder Vexthara's crystal body went completely dark. This session is concluded. You will remain on Nexus Prime while the council considers your species' fate. As the great doors closed behind them, So Young grabbed Hyun-woo's arm. They're planning something terrible, aren't they? Hyun-woo nodded, his mind already working. Yes, but I think we're about to learn something they never intended to teach us. The corridors of Nexus Prime seemed darker as they walked back to their quarters, and Hyun-woo wondered what secrets the ancient station held. 3 days passed in the guest quarters of Nexus Prime. Hyun-woo and So Young were given food and basic comforts, but they could not leave their assigned area. Guards made of living metal watched their doors day and night. The humans spent their time reviewing everything they knew about the Galactic Council, but the pieces did not fit together. On the 4th morning, Elder Mortusk appeared at their door, the massive stone being filled the hallway with his presence. His usual anger seemed replaced by something else, worry perhaps, or fear. Come with me, he said in his grinding voice. Both of you. There are things you must see before the council makes its final decision. Hyun-woo and So Young followed the elder through passages they had never seen before. These corridors were older than the rest of the station. The walls showed strange symbols that seemed to move when they were not looking directly at them. The air felt heavy with age and secrets. Where are you taking us? So Young asked. Elder Mortusk did not turn around. To the Forbidden Archives. To the place where we keep the history your species must understand. They walked in silence for what felt like hours. The passages grew narrower and darker. Strange sounds echoed from hidden chambers. Finally, they reached a massive door covered in symbols from dozens of different civilizations. Some of the writing hurt to look at directly. Elder Mortusk placed his stone hand on the door. Light flowed from his touch, and the symbols began to glow. The door split open with a sound like reality tearing. The Keeper has agreed to speak with you, Elder Mortusk said. This has not happened in 1,000,000 years. Do not waste this opportunity. Inside the chamber, walls stretched up farther than they could see. Shelves and data storage devices filled every surface. In the center of the room, a figure waited for them. It looked somewhat human, but wrong in subtle ways. Its skin was too pale, its eyes too large, and when it moved, it seemed to glide rather than walk. "I am Keeper Zalmiran," the figure said, in a voice that sounded like whispers from a distant star. "I have guarded these archives since before your galaxy had its current shape. Elder Mortusk tells me you need to understand the true history of galactic civilization." Hyunwoo stepped forward. "We want to know why the Council fears humanity so much." The Keeper's large eyes focused on him. "Fear is the correct word, but not for the reasons you might think. Please observe." The air in the chamber shimmered, and suddenly they were surrounded by moving images. Stars and planets hung around them, like a three-dimensional map. The Keeper waved his hand, and the images began to move through time. "This is your galaxy as it was 50 million years ago," Zalmiran said. "Thousands of species had developed space travel. They traded freely, shared knowledge, and explored together. It was a time of great advancement and cooperation." So Young watched in wonder as the images showed vast cities floating between stars and ships that moved like living things. "What happened to them?" "War," the Keeper said simply. The images changed to show fleets of ships firing terrible weapons at each other. Entire star systems went dark. But not the kind of war you might expect. This was not a conflict between species. This was a war between ideas. Elder Mortusk spoke from behind them. Some species believed in hierarchy. They thought advanced civilizations should guide lesser ones. Others believed in freedom and equality for all. The conflict nearly destroyed everything. The images showed the devastation spreading across the galaxy. Billions of beings died as the war consumed entire sectors of space. Ancient technologies were lost forever. Whole species went extinct. "The elders you met in the council chamber are survivors of that war," Zalmiran continued. "They were part of the faction that believed in controlled order. When the war ended, they were the strongest force left. They created the current system to prevent such destruction from happening again." Hyunwoo studied the images. "By controlling who gets to advance and who does not." "Precisely," the Keeper said. "Every few thousand years a species emerges that shows signs of rapid advancement or democratic thinking. The Council studies them carefully. Most are allowed to develop slowly under guidance, some are redirected into harmless pursuits. A few—" The Keeper paused and new images appeared. They showed species that looked proud and advanced. Then the images changed to show empty worlds and broken cities. "A few were eliminated," Elder Mortusk finished, "for the greater good of galactic stability." So Young felt sick. "How many?" 47 confirmed extinctions in the past 10 million years, Zalmiran said without emotion. "The records are quite detailed." The images changed again, showing species after species rising to greatness then disappearing. The builders who created amazing technologies and shared them freely. The uniters who tried to form a democratic government spanning multiple star systems. The seekers who believed knowledge should belong to everyone. "All destroyed," Hyunwoo said quietly. "All eliminated before they could spread their dangerous ideas," Elder Mortusk corrected. "Ideas like yours, human Hyunwoo. Ideas about equality and freedom and the right of all species to determine their own fate. And now you plan to eliminate humanity," So Young said. Elder Mortusk shifted uncomfortably. "The Council has not yet decided. That is why I brought you here. You must understand what is at stake." Zalmiran waved his hand again, and the images changed to show recent events. Human ships spreading across the galaxy, meetings between humans and other species, technologies being shared freely. "Your species displays all the warning signs," the Keeper said. "Rapid expansion, technological sharing, democratic ideals, alliance, building with species the Council has deemed unsuitable for advancement. In the past, such behavior has always led to galactic instability. Or it led to species being murdered before they could prove the council wrong, Hyunwoo said angrily. Perhaps, Zalmiran admitted. The archives contain conflicting interpretations of these events. Some records suggest that several eliminated species were on the verge of breakthrough discoveries that could have benefited everyone. Elder Mortusk turned toward the humans. This is why I brought you here. The council is preparing to vote on humanity's fate. Elder Vexithara and the others believe you must be stopped before you trigger another galactic war. They have weapons ready that could sterilize every human world in a matter of days. So Young grabbed Hyunwoo's arm. We have to warn Earth. We have to tell them what's coming. Communication with your homeworld has been blocked, Elder Mortusk said. But perhaps that is for the best. If Earth reacts aggressively to this threat, it will only confirm the Council's fears. Hyunwoo stared at the images still floating around them. Dozens of dead civilizations, billions of lives snuffed out to preserve the Elder's idea of order. His voice was cold when he spoke. Tell me about the weapons you used on these other species. Zalmiran gestured, and new images appeared. Terrible machines that consumed matter itself. Plagues designed to target specific genetics. Ships that could destroy stars. The Void Swarm was the most effective, the Keeper said. Self-replicating machines that devour everything in their path. Once released in a star system, they consume all matter and energy, then move on to the next system. Nothing can stop them. Nothing? Hyunwoo asked. Elder Mortusk hesitated. Nothing has stopped them yet. But you said the weapons were ready to use against humanity. That implies you still have them. We do, Elder Mortusk admitted. The Void Swarm lies dormant in secure containment. It waits for the Council's decision. So Young was studying the data displays around them. These records go back millions of years, but there are gaps. Large periods where no data was recorded. Zalmiran nodded slowly. Some events are too dangerous to record. Some knowledge is kept in deeper archives that even I cannot access. What kind of knowledge? Hyunwoo pressed. The Keeper's large eyes seemed to grow distant. Knowledge of what happened the last time a species like yours appeared. The last time the Council's weapons failed to work as intended. Elder Mortusk straightened up. That information is not relevant to the current situation, isn't it? Hyunwoo asked. If your weapons failed before, maybe the Council should reconsider using them against humanity. The situation was different, Elder Mortusk said quickly. That species was eliminated through other means. Hyunwoo and So Young exchanged glances. There was something the Elder was not telling them. Something important. When did this happen? So Young asked. Zalmiran answered before Elder Mortusk could stop him. 50 years ago. The chamber fell silent. Hyunwoo felt pieces of a puzzle clicking together in his mind. 50 years ago was when humanity had first encountered what they called the machine crisis. Strange automated ships had appeared in human space and attacked without warning. Earth's military had fought them off, but the origin of the machines had never been explained. The Void Swarm, Hyunwoo said slowly. You already tried to use it on humanity, didn't you? Elder Mortusk's stone face showed no expression, but his silence was answer enough. Elder Mortusk stood like a mountain in the archive chamber. His stone face showed no emotion, but his silence told Hyunwoo everything he needed to know. The Galactic Council had already tried to destroy humanity once. Show us, Hyunwoo said quietly. Show us what really happened 50 years ago. 50. Zalmiran looked at Elder Mortusk, who gave a slow nod. The Keeper waved his hands and the images around them changed. Now they showed the Sol system as it was 50 years ago. Earth looked smaller and more isolated than it did today. The Council voted, Elder Mortusk said in his grinding voice. Humanity had made contact with 3 other species and was sharing technology freely. The warning signs were clear. Elder Vexithara convinced the others that immediate action was necessary. The images showed a dark cloud moving through space toward Earth's solar system. As it got closer, they could see it was made of countless small machines. Each one was no bigger than a person's hand, but there were billions of them. The Void Swarm, So Young whispered. They really did try to destroy us. It should have worked, Elder Mortusk said. The swarm had never failed before. It devours all matter and energy in its path. Planets, stars, space stations, ships. Everything becomes fuel for more machines. Within a month, your entire system should have been empty space. Hyun-woo watched as the cloud of machines reached the outer planets of his home system. They fell on Jupiter's moons like hungry insects, consuming rock and ice and metal. But something was wrong with the images. The swarm seemed to be moving more slowly than it should. What changed? He asked. Zelmiran manipulated the display, focusing on Earth itself. Your planet's military responded faster than expected. Instead of running or trying to hide, they attacked immediately. The images showed human ships moving to intercept the swarm. They were tiny compared to the vast cloud of machines, but they fought with desperate courage. Weapons fire lit up the darkness between worlds. At first, it appeared to be a noble but doomed effort, Elder Mortusk continued. Human weapons could destroy individual swarm units, but there were too many. For every machine destroyed, 10 more took its place. But as they watched, something unexpected happened. A group of human ships stopped fighting and instead moved close to the swarm. They extended mechanical arms and began capturing machines instead of destroying them. What were they doing? So Young asked. Something that had never been tried before, Zalmiran said. They were studying the enemy while fighting it. The display zoomed in on one of the human ships. Through its windows, they could see people in military uniforms working frantically at computer stations. One of them was a young man with familiar features. That's you, So Young said to Hyun-woo. You were there. Hyun-woo nodded slowly. I was a cadet then. My first real assignment was aboard the research vessel Determination. Our captain was Admiral Tae-ho Song. The images continued to show the battle. More human ships arrived, but instead of just fighting, they began working, together in a coordinated pattern. Some ships fought to keep the swarm busy while others captured samples and analyzed them. Admiral Song ordered every ship to share data in real time, Hyun-woo remembered. Every discovery, every weakness we found, was transmitted to the whole fleet immediately. Elder Mortusk shifted uncomfortably. This collaborative approach was not anticipated. Most species fight as individual units, each trying to survive. Your species treated the battle as a learning exercise. On the display, they could see the moment everything changed. A brilliant woman in a science uniform, Sun-mi Kang, was working at a computer station. Suddenly, she stood up and began speaking rapidly to the people around her. Dr. Kang discovered something about the machines, Hyun-woo said. They operated on quantum frequencies that could be disrupted. But the disruption had to come from a very specific type of brainwave pattern. Human brainwave patterns, Zalmiran added. Your species' neural activity creates interference that the swarm's coordination systems cannot compensate for. The images showed human ships moving in new formations. Instead of fighting randomly, they were positioning themselves in patterns that created the maximum brainwave interference. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Swarm machines began to malfunction and attack each other. But that wasn't the end, Elder Mortusk said grimly. What your species did next violated every expectation. The display showed the aftermath of the battle. Dead swarm machines floated throughout the solar system. Human ships moved carefully among the wreckage, but they weren't just cleaning up. They were collecting every piece of technology they could find. Most species would have been grateful to survive, Zalmiran observed. They would have destroyed the remains and tried to forget the experience. Humans did the opposite. New images showed human laboratories and workshops. Scientists and engineers worked day and night to understand the swarm technology. Instead of fearing it, they were learning from it. Dr. Sun-mi Kang led the research effort, Hyun-woo said. She wanted to understand not just how to defeat the swarm, but how to improve it. So Young stared at the images in amazement. They reverse-engineered the entire system? Within 6 months, Elder Mortusk confirmed. Your species had not only understood the swarm technology, they had improved it. They created a defensive version that could protect star systems instead of destroying them. The display showed the results. Human ships now carried small clouds of defensive machines that could intercept incoming threats. But more importantly, they were sharing this technology with their allies. The Three-World Alliance was the first to receive the improved swarm technology, Hyunwoo remembered. Then the Crystal Singers and the Deep Dwellers. Within 2 years, a dozen species had defensive systems based on what we learned. Elder Mortusk's stone face showed something that might have been respect. Admiral Song sent a message to the Council after the battle. It was disturbing. Zalmiran gestured, and a communication screen appeared in the air. The image showed an older human man in a military uniform. His eyes were hard but not cruel. Honored. Elders, Admiral Song's recorded voice said. We know you sent these machines to test us. We assume you wanted to see if humanity was ready to join the galactic community as equals. We're pleased to report that the test was successful, from our perspective. The recording continued. We've learned much from your Void Swarm. The technology is impressive, but it has flaws. We've corrected those flaws and created an improved version. We're sharing this technology with our allies so they can defend themselves against similar attacks. Admiral Song's expression grew more serious. We hope this demonstration of human ingenuity and cooperation has answered any questions about our worthiness. However, if you feel the need to send more tests our way, please be warned. We learn from every challenge you present. And we share what we learn. The recording ended. Elder Mortusk was quiet for a long moment. The council was shocked, he finally said. No species had ever survived the Void Swarm. No species had ever captured and improved our technology, and no species had ever threatened to share our weapons with others. Threatened? Hyunwoo asked. We were offering to help defend against those weapons. Which amounts to the same thing, Zalmiran said. If everyone has defenses against the Council's ultimate weapon, then the Council has no ultimate weapon. So Young was studying the data streams around them. That's why you're so afraid of us. It's not just that we survived your attempt to destroy us. It's that we made ourselves stronger and helped others do the same. Elder Mortusk nodded slowly. The balance of power in the galaxy shifted that day. For the first time in millions of years, the Council faced the possibility that our authority might be challenged. And now you're planning to try again, Hyunwoo said. Some of us are, Elder Mortusk admitted. Elder Vexithara believes that humanity must be stopped before we lose control entirely. Others argue that your species has already grown too strong for conventional weapons to work. Zalmiran waved his hand, and the images around them changed, to show the present day. Human ships moved throughout the galaxy, but they were not alone. Dozens of other species traveled with them, sharing crews and technologies. Your collaborative network now includes over 200 species, the Keeper said. Many of them have defensive technologies based on what you learned from the swarm. If the Council attacks humanity directly, all of your allies might unite against us. And that would mean war, Elder Mortusk said grimly. The kind of war that nearly destroyed the galaxy 50 million years ago. Hyunwoo looked around the chamber full of ancient secrets. Or it would mean the end of the Council's control. Maybe that's what really scares you. The silence that followed his words was deeper than the space between stars. The archives fell silent after Hyunwoo's words. Elder Mortusk stood like a statue, and even Keeper Zalmiran seemed frozen in place. Only the soft hum of ancient machines filled the air. Then alarms began blaring throughout Nexus Prime. Red lights flashed in the chamber as emergency signals echoed through the station's corridors. Zalmiran's large eyes grew even wider as he accessed the station's systems. Multiple unauthorized data transmissions detected, the Keeper announced. Someone is broadcasting from inside the station. Elder Mortusk turned toward the humans with suspicion. What have you done? Hyunwoo remained calm, but So Young noticed a small device on his belt was blinking quietly. We haven't done anything from in here, he said carefully. More alarms joined the first ones. Zalmiran moved his hands through holographic displays that appeared around him. The transmissions are coming from everywhere, Multiple locations throughout the station. This should be impossible. Unless someone has been very busy while we've been talking, So Young said quietly. Through the chamber's walls, they could hear the sound of running footsteps and shouting voices. The ancient Nexus Prime had not seen this much activity in centuries. Elder, Mortusk's stone face showed growing alarm. The transmissions are going out on quantum channels. Long-range communications to dozens of star systems. What kind of information is being transmitted? Hyunwoo asked. Zalmiran's expression grew troubled. Historical data, archive records, the true history of galactic civilization that we just showed you. The elder's voice became a dangerous rumble. You planned this. While we showed you our secrets in good faith, your people were stealing our data. Our people? Hyunwoo asked. You mean the 2 humans you brought to this station? We've been under guard since we arrived. Not just you 2, Zalmiran said, studying his displays. More carefully. The data intrusion is too sophisticated. This required advanced preparation and inside knowledge. So Young looked at Hyunwoo with new understanding. How long have you been planning this? Before Hyunwoo could answer, the chamber doors burst. Open! Elder Vexthera strode in, her crystal body flashing angry red. Behind her came 3 other council members and a squad of robotic guards. Enough! Elder Vexthera's voice cracked like breaking ice. Human treachery reveals itself at last. While we offered knowledge, you betrayed our trust. Hyunwoo stood up slowly, his hands visible but not raised in surrender. What exactly are you accusing us of? The entire galaxy is receiving transmissions. Containing our most guarded secrets, Elder Vexthera snarled. The true history of galactic civilization, records of species we eliminated, details of our weapons and methods. Everything is being broadcast on open channels. By whom? So Young asked. Elder Quindar stepped forward, her insect-like mandibles clicking rapidly. Analysis shows the transmissions originate from hidden devices placed throughout Nexus Prime, devices that could only have been installed by someone with detailed knowledge of our systems. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. I see. And you think we planted these devices in the 3 days we've been here? We think your species has been planning this for years, Elder Vexthera said. Every diplomatic mission, every trade negotiation, every cultural exchange was an opportunity to place spies and sabotage equipment. Zalmiran gestured, and new displays appeared around them. The quantum transmission network is remarkably sophisticated. It bypasses all council monitoring systems. The designers clearly understood our security methods in detail. Someone has been studying us for a long time, Elder Mortusk added grimly. So Young looked at the data streams flowing around them. How many star systems are receiving these transmissions? Over 800, Zalmiran replied. The broadcasts are being automatically translated into local languages and transmitted on frequencies each species commonly uses for news and information sharing. Elder Vexthera's crystal body went completely dark. Your species is revealing our secrets to the entire galaxy. You are destroying millions of years of carefully maintained order. Are we? Hyunwoo asked calmly. Or are we simply sharing the truth? Truth without context is chaos, Elder Quindar clicked. These species are not ready for such knowledge. They will panic. They will turn against us. The galaxy will burn. Hyunwoo walked slowly around the chamber, seemingly unbothered by the guards tracking his movements. Let me understand this correctly. You're worried that if people know the truth about how you've ruled them, they might decide they don't want to be ruled by you anymore? You understand nothing, Elder Vexthera said. We have maintained peace through strength and wisdom. Without council authority, younger species will war among themselves until nothing remains. The way they did 50 million years ago? So Young asked. When the conflict was actually between democratic species and authoritarian ones like you? The chamber fell silent, except for the continuing alarms. Elder Mortusk looked uncomfortable, and even some of the other council members exchanged uncertain glances. That is not how it happened, Elder Vexthera said, but her voice lacked its usual confidence. Hyunwoo stopped walking and faced the assembled elders. Then why don't you tell the galaxy your version of events? Send out your own broadcasts, explaining why you had to eliminate 47 civilizations for the greater good. We do not need to justify our actions to lesser species, Elder Quindar said. But they might ask you to, So Young pointed out. Now that they know what you've done. Zalmiran's displays showed more troubling information. The transmissions are not just one way. Many of the receiving systems are sending responses. The network is becoming interactive. What kind of responses? Elder Mortusk asked. Questions. Demands for more information. Requests for confirmation of the historical data. And the Keeper paused. Coordination messages between different species. Elder Vexthara's crystal body flashed through several angry colors. They are organizing against us, just as we predicted. Or they're organizing to talk to each other, Hyunwoo suggested. Maybe they want to form their own networks instead of relying on yours. Alarms continued to blare throughout the station. Through the chamber walls, they could hear more shouting and the sound of heavy machinery being moved. Nexus Prime's ancient systems were struggling to cope with the unprecedented data traffic. The quantum transmission network is overloading. Our communication systems, Zalmiran reported. At this rate, Nexus Prime's central computers will crash within hours. Elder Vexithara turned back toward Hyunwoo with murderous intent. Stop this. Tell your people to end these transmissions immediately. I can't, Hyunwoo said simply, even if I wanted to. Why not? Elder Mortusk demanded. Hyunwoo smiled, for the first time since entering the archives. Because this isn't a human operation, we're just the excuse. So, Young stared at him. What do you mean? Think about it, Hyunwoo said. We've been on this station for 3 days under constant guard. We had no opportunity to plant devices or set up transmission networks. This level of coordination required years of preparation and inside help. Elder Quindar's mandibles clicked nervously. Inside help from whom? From species that have been waiting for the right moment to act, Hyunwoo explained. Species that learned the truth about the Council long ago, but were too afraid to act alone. They needed a catalyst, a species strong enough to survive the Council's retaliation. Zalmiran's displays showed new information. Additional analysis confirms the ambassador's statement. The transmission network includes technology from at least 15 different civilizations. This is not a human creation. It's a collaborative effort. Elder Vexithara's crystal body went completely black. Impossible. We monitor all species carefully. We would have detected such a conspiracy. Would you? So Young asked. How carefully do you monitor species you consider harmless? The ones you've kept primitive for thousands of years? The gentle builders, Hyunwoo said thoughtfully. The swift swimmers. The mountain singers. All those lesser species that humanity has been helping. What if they weren't as primitive as you thought? Elder Mortusk's stone features showed the first cracks of uncertainty. Are you saying they have been deceiving us? I'm saying they've been surviving, Hyunwoo replied, and waiting for their chance. The displays around Zalmiran suddenly exploded with new activity. Messages poured in from across the galaxy as hundreds of species began communicating directly with each other for the first time in millions of years. The network is expanding, the Keeper announced. Species are connecting to other species independently of our communication systems. They are creating their own galactic internet. Elder Vexithara raised her crystalline arms. This ends now. Guards, arrest the humans. Shut down all external communications. Prepare the Void Swarm for immediate deployment. But before the guards could move, every display in the chamber went dark. Then, slowly, a new image appeared. It showed a young human woman sitting at a communication console. Hello, Nexus Prime, she said with a cheerful smile. This is Da-Yun Im, broadcasting from the Free Vessel Liberation. I think it's time the galaxy had a little chat. Da-Yun Im's smiling face filled every screen in the archives chamber. Behind her, Hyunwoo could see other humans working at communication stations, along with beings from species he didn't recognize. The ship's bridge buzzed with quiet activity. Broadcasting on all frequencies to 847 star systems, Daun continued cheerfully, including the Nexus Prime internal communication network. Hello, Elder Vexthara. We've been listening to your conversation with Ambassador Kim. Elder, Vexthara's crystal body flashed through violent colors. How is this possible? Our communications are secure. We're secure, Daun corrected. We've had friends working on your systems for quite some time. Did you really think the maintenance crews who service your station were all loyal council subjects? Zalmiran manipulated his controls frantically, but the displays would not respond to his commands. The communication system has been completely compromised. I cannot regain control. That's because control was never really yours, said a new voice from the speakers. The image split to show an elderly alien with blue-scaled skin. This is Elder Wisdom Keeper Veltar of the Deep Current people. For 3,000 years, my people have maintained the quantum communication network that connects this galaxy. We built it. We can choose who gets to use it. Elder Mortusk stepped forward heavily. The Deep Current people are a primitive aquatic species. They have no advanced technology. Veltar's laugh sounded like water over stones. We let you believe that because it kept us safe. When you think a species is too simple to threaten you, you stop watching them carefully. More images appeared on the screens. Beings from dozens of different species, all speaking from what appeared to be ships or space stations. Hyunwoo recognized some of them from human diplomatic missions. This is Constructor Prime Yilmek of the Gentle Builders, said a creature that looked like a walking tree. Our people have been placing communication devices throughout the galaxy for centuries. Every structure we built for the Council contains our technology. And this is Song Shaper Hrendal of the Mountain Singers, added a being made of what looked like living crystal. Our people's songs carry quantum frequencies across space. We have been sharing information between worlds for millennia. Elder Vexithara turned toward the humans with rage that made her entire body glow red. You corrupted them. You turned loyal species against their rightful rulers. Did we? Hyunwoo asked. Or did we simply help them connect with each other? Daun's voice came through the speakers again. Actually, they contacted us first. About 60 years ago, right after the Void Swarm incident, several species reached out to Earth through secret channels. They wanted to know how humanity had survived something that had destroyed so many others. So Young looked amazed. You've been in contact with them for 60 years? Not just in contact, said another voice. A new image appeared showing a human man in an engineer's uniform. This is Wu Jin Shin, speaking from the mobile shipyard New Geneva. We've been working together, learning from each other, and preparing for this day. Elder Quindar's mandibles clicked rapidly. Preparing for what day? Independence Day, Wu Jin said simply. The day when every species in this galaxy gets to choose its own path. The screens around them filled with images from across the galaxy. Hundreds of worlds showed the same scene. Beings of all types gathering in public spaces, watching screens that displayed the true history of galactic civilization. The archives data that Zalmiran had shown them was being broadcast everywhere. Truth is spreading faster than we anticipated, Daun reported. Every species is seeing the records of the 47 civilizations that were eliminated. They're learning about the Council's weapons and methods, and they're asking questions. Elder Mortusk's voice rumbled with concern. This will cause panic, chaos. The younger species are not ready for such knowledge. With respect, Elder Mortusk, said Veltar, we've been ready for a long time. We just couldn't act alone. New alarms began sounding throughout Nexus Prime. Zalmiran frantically worked his controls as more systems failed throughout the ancient station. Multiple ships approaching the station, the Keeper announced. Over 200 vessels from various species. They are not responding to our communication attempts, because they're not coming to talk to you, Hyunwoo said quietly. They're coming to witness history. On the screens they could see the approaching fleet. Ships of all sizes and designs moved together in loose formation. Some were human vessels, but most belonged to species the Council had classified as primitive or harmless. Elder Vexthera raised her crystalline arms. "We will not allow this rebellion to succeed. The Void Swarm will be released immediately. Every ship in that fleet will be destroyed." "I'm afraid that won't be possible," said a calm voice from the speakers. A new image appeared, a human woman in a scientific uniform. "This is Dr. Sunmi Kang, broadcasting from the research vessel Breakthrough. We've been monitoring the Void Swarm containment systems." Elder Mortusk stepped toward the screen. "Those systems are impregnable. No one can access the swarm without Council authorization." "You're right," Dr. Kang agreed. "No one can access it, including you." The displays changed to show technical readouts from deep within Nexus Prime. The Void Swarm containment area was sealed behind layers of security, but something was wrong with the readings. "The swarm is still there," Dr. Kang explained, "but we've modified the containment field generators. The machines are now trapped in a quantum loop. They think they're consuming matter and replicating, but they're actually running a simulation. They'll never realize they're not really expanding." Zalmiran studied the data with growing alarm. "When did you do this?" "About 30 years ago," Dr. Kang said cheerfully. "We've been very patient." Elder Vexithara's crystal body went completely black. "Impossible. The containment area is monitored constantly by automated systems built by the Gentle Builders," Constructor Prime Yilmek added. "We've been sending false data to your monitors for decades." The chamber fell silent except for the continuing alarms. Elder Mortusk looked around at his fellow council members, seeing doubt and fear in their ancient faces. "What do you want?" Elder Vexithara asked finally. Dayunim's smile grew wider. "We want exactly what we've always wanted. The right for every species to determine its own future. No more eliminations, no more forced primitivism, no more secret controls. And in return?" Elder Quindar clicked nervously. "In return, you get to join the new galactic community as equals," Yunwu said. "No special privileges, but no punishments, either. Some species might choose to follow the old ways. Others will try something new. That's their choice to make." Elder Mortusk's stone features showed confusion. "You would allow us to continue existing? After everything we have done?" "Democracy means everyone gets a voice," So Young said. "Even people we disagree with." The screen showed more images from across the galaxy. On world after world, species were holding what looked like elections or town meetings. The beings who had never been allowed to govern themselves were learning to make collective decisions. "The transition won't be easy," Wu Jinshin said from his shipyard. "We've established refugee stations for species who want to leave worlds controlled by the old system, and we're offering technical assistance to anyone who wants to improve their living conditions. But," Dayun added, "we're not forcing anyone to change. If a species prefers the old hierarchy, they can keep it. We just won't help them impose it on others." Elder Vexithara looked around the chamber at her fellow council members. Some, like Elder Mortusk, seemed thoughtful. Others appeared frightened or angry. "The galaxy will tear itself apart without central authority," she said finally. "Maybe," Hyunwoo admitted. "Or maybe it will grow into something better than any of us can imagine." 6 months later, Hyunwoo stood on the observation deck of New Geneva Station, watching ships from 100 different species dock at the massive structure. The station had been built through the cooperation of dozens of civilizations, each contributing their best technologies and ideas. So Young joined him at the window, carrying a datapad filled with reports from the Galactic Innovation Fair happening throughout the station. "The singing crystals from Rendal's world have developed a new form of faster-than-light communication," she said. "And the deep current people want to share their underwater city designs with species on ocean worlds." "Any problems?" Hyunwoo asked. "A few," So Young admitted. "Some of the elder species are having trouble adjusting. Elder Vexithara has established a colony in the outer rim where she's trying to recreate the old system. But only 3 species have joined her so far. And the others?" Elder Moore-Tusk has been working with the builders on a project to create artificial gravity systems for asteroid colonies. He says building things is more satisfying than ruling them. Yunwoo smiled as he watched a young alien approach one of the human engineers on the station. The being's translator rendered its words clearly. "Human friend, my people have developed a new way to grow food in space, but we are not sure it is safe. Will you help us test it?" The human engineer nodded enthusiastically and began discussing the project with obvious excitement. Around them, beings from species that had never been allowed to interact were working together.